Hi guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. Today we're going to paint this dog in watercolor. But before we started, let's talk about the World Watercolor Month. July is considered World Watercolor Month. Charlie O'Shoot is the founder, and he's promoting every year with watercolor artists in the social media. This year, it's linked to a charity called Dreaming Zebra Foundation that's raised money to donate art supplies to children in need. I will put the link below so you guys can go to their website and check it out. If you want to help the charity, go to the World Watercolor Month and see how you can participate. They also have some nice stuff there to sell, and 100% of everything they raised going to be donated to the charity. If you guys do some watercolor work this month, don't forget to hashtag World Watercolor Month. So okay, then let's start it. So for this demonstration today, I'm going to use Stonehenge aqua paper. It is a cold press, 300 pounds. It's 600 milligrams. It's a very thick paper, as you can see if we compare with the traditional paper. It's like strong, it's like a board. Okay, so I start here with the background. I start with a lighter color. I just want to wet the paper, but I want to see where the paint is, where the water is, so I mix a very light color so I couldn't see the water, and I couldn't be careful to don't get the paper wet where I don't want to. Now I start to apply a darker wash with black, some blue and violet, and I am applying in a wet surface so it's get more even, but I know that I have to do more layers later on because just one layer going to be too light. So I start with the eyes, and as you can see, I didn't put like black or gray. I prefer to do a mixture of violet and a little bit blue. And I have to do the eyes very carefully because I cannot paint over the part that's still wet. I have to wait to dry. And if you're new in watercolor or in every kind of different mediums, don't worry about the background and just do your painting. Start with little things, because if you start to do too much stuff, you're going to get overwhelmed, and sometimes it's too much things to think about it. The background, it's important. I like the effect that backgrounds do, but sometimes background can be tricky. You have to choose the right color. You have to make sure that the colors that you put in the background going to reflect in your subject. So if you're started, I think it's too much stuff to think about it. I think you should just start painting your subject until you feel comfortable with it, until you feel that you can do a good job and your subject is looking the way you want, and then you start to think about the background. You don't have to start with think so many things at the same time because it's too overwhelming. And then here I start with the base colors, and then I apply some dark shadows where I want to be dark. And everything is doing in layers because I have to wait for other layers dry. As you can see right now, it looks really bad. This is the ugly face that I always talk about. When you start painting, mostly with watercolor and acrylics, there is this ugly face that you look and it's a mess. It don't look at all the way you want. So in this phase, you cannot panic. You cannot just give up and say, I don't know what I'm doing. Everything is just ugly and terrible, and it's never going to look the way you want. And then you give up in your painting. But the thing is, you have to keep working. You have to keep working and be patient and keep doing what you think that's the right thing. And you're going to see that layer by layer, it's going to get better and better. Like this nose. This nose don't look like a nose at all. It's terrible. But as I'm going to put the layers and it's going to get shape and going to get better, so you have to be patient and do one part at time. Don't worry about if something get a little bit messy, like the eyes that I just did there, and did went well because the painting still was wet, and then instead to grab the painting, start to lift off the painting. So I stopped working there. I let dry a little bit, and then later on I get there again and I fix it. you know so just keep doing your layers, keep doing the colors that you think that you have to put there. Don't get panic, don't give up, just keep doing. You're going to see that layer by layer it start to get better and better, and start to look like the way you want, that the way you really want to look. The important part now is just look to your reference photo, pay attention in every detail that's there, and try to reproduce the best way you can. And as I always say, you have to choose the right reference photo. The good reference photo has a very good contrast between darks and lights, and it helps you a lot. So I'm using here this rake brush because the painting is really small and I'm not able to do the lines so small, like to match with the painting. So I use this brush that helped me to do little details, little fine hairs. So it's important to remember that in watercolors, everything that you paint, when it's dry, it's going to be lighter. So it's a good thing because you can fix a lot of problems or a lot of things that you did wrong when it get dry, and help you to put some more details too, like I did here in the mouth. So layer by layer you start doing, and it start to look better, it start to look more dimensional. So as you can see there, I try to do a little detail in the face, and I wet the background a little, and unfortunately it's get too dark, but because I'm going to dark the background, so I didn't worry about it. I know for who is new on painting that this first part is very intimidating. Don't be afraid to put colors and to work with what you have, because when I start with watercolors, my fear was that I put colors and then it's going to look wrong, and and then I don't know what to do with that because it's already messed up. But it's not like this. You have to think that usually, because the watercolor get lighter when dries, you can darker a lot of other things around, and it's going to look good. And in the end, everything going to be in the right place. You just have to be confident and just keep doing what you have to do, you know because the watercolor is not that difficult. If something is not good, you can just wet a little bit the part, and then you can, even if something has too harsh lines, but you're going to see that if you keep doing layers, this everything is going to get together. Is like the ears, you see there is a very harsh line there, But when I start to look to work in this part, it's going to get better. It's going to get more the way I want. And you have to understand that some parts you need this difference. You don't have to blend everything going to look smooth and perfect. Because sometimes you need these lines, this difference, this contrast. So just keep doing, keep working your piece. Don't worry about, don't get stressed out. Believe me, I have been through this a lot, and I look my work and many times I want just throw to the trash and take fire and everything because don't look the way I was thinking. But if I keep working on the piece, it's going to get much better. Like if I stop working right now, it's terrible. I always say, nah, that's horrible. I shouldn't even start doing it because look really bad. But the more you work in your piece, the better it's going to look. Just be patient and be persistent. Don't give up in your piece. Don't give up in what you're doing. Just let dry. Sometimes just let dry for a day, and then next day when you're going to see it's look much better and you feel more confident, and it's the way it is. You don't have to worry about it. So this piece I took 3 hours to complete. Is a 5 by 7, so it's take time. It's no, it's not something that you do in 1 hour or 30 minutes. It's a work that you have to really work on. You have to be there, and you have to be patient. So now you can see I start to fix the nose because it wasn't look the way I want before, but then it starts to look better now. So as I always say, it's just a process, layer by layer. It's all look better. So I start to wet the background again, so I couldn't do one more layer, and because I want a very smooth, at least try to be more smooth. I wet so the surface get more even, and I put a little bit of the color, the background color on the dog because I want the dog reflect the color, uh, the background color. Here they look like it's all blue, but the background has some violet, and that's what I put in the dog. And you see that I put a little bit, my brush a little bit wet with just water, just to get rid of the harsh lines, because I don't want the harsh lines appear. So you can see that I apply several layers and it still have like a lot of layers to put it because the layers get very light and I need more dimension, I need more volume, so I have to keep applying layers and layers until I get exactly what I want. The colors that I'm using is a mixture of yellow ochre, burnt sienna, and burnt umber. So depending the part that I am doing, I apply more yellow or more burnt umber. In the shadows parts is more burnt umber, and sometimes I put some a little bit more the violet, so it's keeping uh, the same colors of the background. That helps to with the composition. All the materials that I use here today is listed on the description box below. You also can find them in my website on the online store. Buying from there help me to support my channel with no extra cost to you. You also can find my website in the blog section, the complete review of Stonehenge Aqua. If you are new in painting, I suggest you to start with small paintings, because with small paintings you finish in the same day and it's not overwhelming for you to do the painting, and you can paint every day a different thing, because sometimes you start painting a big painting and then you get dismotivated because it takes too long to get the way you want, get too long to look good, and sometimes you just lost the interest from the subject that you start to paint. So that's why I suggest you just start with little paintings, start and finish in the same day, uh, if you can. But even if you need to do more days, it's fast to finish, and don't make you like bored or upset because it took too long to finish or to get your work the way you really expect. So I suggest you to always start small, because for me it's the best way, because I can do a lot of paintings, different paintings, try different techniques, and I can see the results very fast, so I don't get dismotivated. So I'm doing now first layer of glaze. Glaze is just a very light layer with colors, and the glaze just give some change a little bit the colors without put like a heavy layer, so it's just get more yellowish that I want in the dog. I'm going to do one more glaze later on. So now I get my flat brush and I start to lift a little bit painting, so I get more what I want, because I put too much colors in some parts that I don't want to, and I could lift it off and it's get better the way I was expecting. So you can lift some colors sometimes, but even if you lift the colors, the paper never going to get really blank again, never going to be white. But you can lift a little bit of colors to get a little bit more contrast, and it's a good technique that you can use. So I'm glazing now. You can see that I put more yellow ochre, so it's getting more gold, like the dog. So now I start to apply some white in parts that I ended up cover the highlights that I want to left there. So because this set has, my watercolor has the white, I just use a little bit to reinforce the highlights in the place that I want. I'm using here the Hake brush. It's a number 2 brush. So now I just put some fur. To do this fur and to use the fine line brush, you have to use a mixture very watery, but you have to keep in mind that if it's too watery, it's going to be transparent, and if is not enough water in the mixture, it's going to be difficult to do the lines. So you have to have the right mixture to do it. I'm going to do the whiskers, and you're going to see that the first two whiskers that I did there, the first time I tried was the too wet, too dry. My brush was too dry and didn't get well, so I wet a little bit more and then get a little bit too wet, and then the lines get too strong, but I couldn't fix it because it was very close, so I just take it off a little bit, the excess of the painting, and then I did more fine lines, and I did the same thing in the other side that is dark fur. I start with a mixture that wasn't that watery because I don't want to make a mess, but wasn't strong enough. So I have to put a little bit more water because it wasn't spread. And then I get the right mixture here, and I couldn't do much better. So it's you have to try, you have to do several times, and then you're going to use to the right mixtures, to the exactly way you have to do. You can try in another paper, in a separate paper, just to make sure that it's going to look better, that's going to look good, and you're not going to mess it up the final work. I have the full version of this video step by step on my Patreon, and I'm going to put the link below. This is all for today. I hope you guys have enjoyed it. If you like it, please hit the like button. And if you didn't subscribe yet, subscribe so you help to support my channel. Thank you.